सत्य साई प्रणाम साई प्रणाम उयालू गुमा श्री सत्य साई उयालू गुमा श्री सत्य साई उयालू गुमा श्री सत्य साई आत्मडोलिक लोन आनंददाई आनंददाई उयालू गुमा श्री सत्य साई आत्मडोलिक लोन आनंददाई आनंददाई उयालू गुमा श्री सत्य साई मानस सरोवरमु पाल्कडली कागा मानस सरोवरमु पाल्कडली कागा मानस सरोवरमु पाल्कडली कागा शेषरूपक नाडी कल्पमुन निनच्చి शेषरूपक नाडी कल्पमुन निनच्చి శ్వాసము మధుర గానము చేయు వేళలో తను వెళ్ళహాయిగా విహరింపుమయ్యా ఉయ్యాలలు గుమా శ్రీ సత్య సాయి ఆత్మ డోలిక లోన ఆనందదాయి ఆనందదాయి ఉయ్యాలలు గుమా శ్రీ సత్య ಬಾರೋ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ 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 ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ 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 ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ನೀ ಮುಖವನ್ನೇ ತೋರೋ 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 ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ 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 ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಬಾಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಗವನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿದ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಬಾಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಗವನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿದ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಬಾಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಗವನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿದ ಜಗದೋದ್ಧಾರಕ 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 ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಜಗದೋದ್ಧಾರಕ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಜಗದೋದ್ಧಾರಕ ನಮ್ಮ ಉಡುಪಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಜಗದೋದ್ಧಾರಕ ನಮ್ಮ ಉಡುಪಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ 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 ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ 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 ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಶಿವೆ ಸರ್ವಾರ್ಥ ಸಾಧಿಕೆ ಶಿವೆ ಸರ್ವಾರ್ಥ ಸಾಧಿಕೆ ಶರಣ್ಯೇ ತ್ರಯಂಬಕೆ ಗೌರಿ ಶರಣ್ಯೇ ತ್ರಯಂಬಕೆ ಗೌರಿ ನಾರಾಯಣಿ ನಮೋಸ್ತುತೆ ನಾರಾಯಣಿ ನಮೋಸ್ತುತೆ ಮಾಯಾತೀತ ಸ್ವರೂಪಿಣಿ ಮಾಯಾತೀತ ಸ್ವರೂಪಿಣಿ ನಂಬ್ರವೇ
ಓಂ ಭೂರ್ಭುವಸ್ಸುವಃ ತತ್ಸವಿತುರ್ವರೆಣ್ಯಂ ಭರ್ಗೋ ದೇವಸ್ಯ ಧೀಮಹಿ ಧಿಯೋ ಯೋ ನಃ ಪ್ರಚೋದಯಾತ್. ಓಂ ಭೂರ್ಭುವಸ್ಸುವಃ ತತ್ಸವಿತುರ್ವರೆಣ್ಯಂ ಭರ್ಗೋ ದೇವಸ್ಯ ಧೀಮಹಿ ಧಿಯೋ ಯೋ ನಃ ಪ್ರಚೋದಯಾತ್. ಓಂ ಭೂರ್ಭುವಸ್ಸುವಃ ತತ್ಸವಿತುರ್ವರೆಣ್ಯಂ ಭರ್ಗೋ ದೇವಸ್ಯ ಧೀಮಹಿ ಧಿಯೋ ಯೋ ನಃ ಪ್ರಚೋದಯಾತ್.
ಶಾಂತಿ ಶಾಂತಿ ಶಾಂತಿ. ವಿನಾಯಕ 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 ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ವಿನಾಯಕ ವಿನಾಶಕ ವಿನಾಯಕ ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಕ ವಿನಾಯಕ ವಿನಾಶಕ ವಿನಾಯಕ. ಗೌರಿ ನಂದನ ಹೇ ಶಿವನಂದನ ಗೌರಿ ನಂದನ ಹೇ ಶಿವನಂದನ ಗೌರಿ ನಂದನ मूषिकवाहन गजानना मूषिकवाहन गजानना मोदकहस्ता गजानना मोदकहस्ता गजानना मोदकहस्ता गजानना मोदकहस्ता गजानना विनायका 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 विघ्न विनाशक विनायका विनाशक विनायका गौरी नंदन हे शिवनंदन गौरी नंदन हे शिवनंदन पार्वती नंदन गजानना पार्वती नंदन गजानना मूषिकवाहन गजानना मूषिकवाहन गजानना मोदकहस्ता गजानना मोदकहस्ता गजानना मोदकहस्ता गजानना मोदकहस्ता गजानना विनायका विनायका
My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our God, Guru and Guide, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, Aum Sri Sai Ram. Welcome to our Women's Day offering presented by the Kharawastan, Westcliff and Yellowwood Park Size Centres. Happy Women's Day to all our mothers, sisters and daughters. I hope you all had a happy and fulfilled day. The month of August is both auspicious and special because it is in the month of August that the cosmic feminine is worshipped as Mother Lakshmi and Mother Mariamman. And it is also in the month of August that the women of South Africa of all race groups marched to the Union Building in protest to the Urban Areas Act to take a stand against segregation amongst gender domination and inequality in the home and society. The bravery and courage, unity and strength of character that those women displayed on that day are some of the noble qualities of the women of today. After that historic day, women have gained more freedom, are better educated, are more vocal, and have great social and economic power than previous generations. So why are women not happier? Why do more young women feel anxious, insecure, and stressed? We, the women of Sai, are so grateful to have Baba in our lives. He gives us substance, direction, and meaning to life through the lens of his uplifting message. He says the first and foremost quality is having self-confidence in the divine. Without self-confidence, you cannot achieve anything in life, as you will see in the Women's Day March of 1956 presentation. The scriptures have ascribed 7 virtues to women as a class. Satya, which is truth, Prema, which is love, Dharma, which is righteousness, Shanti, which is peace, Sahana, which is tolerance, Ananda, which is bliss, and Svanubhuti, which is spirituality. Swami says women are embodiments of sacrifice, as a woman will go through any lengths of sufferings for the welfare of her family. Swami also says that Dharma can be made to occupy its position in society and restored to its pristine glory only by women, but men also have equal rights and they should participate in the sacred effort so that the country will prosper. Our Women's Day presentation focuses on the women of Mahabharata, with Mother Draupadi in particular. Mother Draupadi is to this day remembered for her intense faith in Lord Krishna and her strict adherence to Dharma. So I hope you will all enjoy this humble offering put together by Our Ladies. Jai Sai Ram.
8. The humiliation of Draupadi. Duryodhana sent his servant to fetch Draupadi from her chambers. The servant related all that had happened and summoned Draupadi to the gambling assembly. Draupadi was horror-struck with the news that she had been waged in the game of dice. She commanded the servant, "O Suta, go ask Yudhishthira whom he staked first, himself or me?" The servant went back to the assembly and related Draupadi's question. Duryodhana was angry. "O Suta, you are simply too scared to bring Draupadi." He turned to his brother. "O Dushasana, go fetch Draupadi from her chambers." Dushasana hastily walked to Draupadi's chambers, entered it, caught Draupadi by her hair, and dragged her to the assembly. Draupadi wept and wailed in pain, but Dushasana did not care. The sight of Draupadi in disheveled hair, dragged by Dushasana, shocked everyone. She was weeping. She was crying for help. She only wore a single piece of cloth, which now was only loosely covering her. She cried out, "Is there no one here to stand up to this injustice? Are the great Bhishma and Dronacharya and Vidura voiceless in this court?" Bhishma, Drona, Vidura, and the elders were distraught. But they did not know how to react. Draupadi had been won and by law belonged to Duryodhana. But was it fair? They couldn't decide and simply froze up on that occasion. In life, we may face situations when we are in a dilemma. Whether good or bad, the prudent thing to do is to make up your mind, join a side, and face the consequences. By virtue of inaction, Bhishma and the rest virtually joined sides with the Kauravas, even when their heart told them that this was immoral. Dushasana dragged Draupadi further and shouted, "Slave! Slave!" The Kauravas, Shakuni and Karna started laughing. They taunted the Pandavas and called them names. Bhima couldn't take the humiliation. He looked at Yudhishthira and cried out, "O Yudhishthira, while you had every right to wage your wealth, and even your brothers, you had no right to stake Draupadi. I will burn the hands that gambled our dear wife in this wretched game. O Sahadeva, bring me some firewood." Vikarna, the third of the Kaurava brothers, stood up and voiced his opinion. "This assembly is filled with great kings and learned men. Why doesn't anyone answer Draupadi's question?" Yudhishthira was tricked and coerced into waging her. Having lost himself, he was at no liberty to bet Panchali. Under these circumstances, I regard Draupadi as not being won. The elders applauded the young man's words, but Duryodhana, Karna, and Dushasana were quick to squash this opinion. Duryodhana danced in joy. His wish had come true. The jealousy and hatred he had been harboring for decades was at last quenched. He addressed Dushasana. "O brother, the Pandavas and Draupadi are now our slaves. Take off their clothes." Hearing this, the Pandavas took off their upper garments and tossed them on the floor. Dushasana walked over to Draupadi and forcibly seized her attire in front of everyone and began to drag it off of her. Draupadi yelled and screamed. No one answered. She appealed to the elders. They were unmoved. She looked helplessly at her husbands. They were in shock. With no one helping her, she cried out desperately, "Oh, Krishna, where are you? The Kauravas are humiliating me in this assembly. Oh, Madhava, oh, Kesava, oh Lord, who is the creator of everything, where are you? Please save me from these evil Kauravas." As soon as Draupadi uttered these words, Krishna, who was sitting in his kingdom hundreds of miles away, got up from his throne, took off his upper garment from his shoulder, and threw it to the ground. Magically, a new garment appeared out of nowhere and covered Draupadi as Dushasana dragged off the one she was wearing. The angry Dushasana caught hold of the new garment and pulled it, and another one appeared under it. And again this happened. As Dushasana kept disrobing Draupadi, a new one appeared under it, magically. Thus, Lord Krishna, the Savior, protected Draupadi from humiliation. Krishna was God himself. Krishna was Lord Vishnu incarnated. If he could save Draupadi, could he not have prevented the gambling from happening in the first place? He could have averted this incident altogether. Why did Krishna answer Draupadi's prayers alone? The moment and manner of Draupadi's prayer is noteworthy. Draupadi did not appeal to Krishna when she was summoned by the servant. She did not pray to Krishna when she was dragged to the assembly. When she was at her most helpless state, she prayed to Krishna, not just with words, but with total surrender. Surrender is key. God's help is always available when we are in trouble. Do we pray to Him with total surrender, or do we do it simply with our intellect? If we truly understand that nothing moves an inch without His will, and if we surrender in totality, we will see His presence in everything. This incident has been mentioned to explain the importance of praying to God in total surrender, not just with our lips, not just as a ritual. The crowd assembled in court cheered this magical incident. The humbled Dushasana retreated to his seat. Bhima, unable to witness what had just happened, yelled out in wrath, "I make a solemn vow today amidst everyone. I will kill Dushasana in battle. I will tear open his chest and drink his blood for the terrible evil he has done." Bhishma and Vidura voiced their opinion and said that Duryodhana should stop this act, or else he is certain to bring destruction to the Kuru race. But Duryodhana barely heard them. Finally, Dhritarashtra spoke. "O wicked-minded Duryodhana, your actions are evil. You have tricked and insulted the mighty Pandavas." He then addressed Yudhishthira. "O Yudhishthira, I free you and your brothers instantly. Take your wealth and riches and go back to your kingdom with your wife and live peacefully." Duryodhana was furious that the king had undone all their hard work. He came up with a counter plan. "So be it, let the Pandavas take everything back. But let us play one last time. This time, the wager is that the loser should go and live in the forest for 12 years, and the 13th year in incognito. If they are found during the 13th year, they should exile themselves for another 12 years. If the loser completes 13 years in this fashion, they can come back and claim their kingdom from the winner." For the last time, Yudhishthira played. For the last time, Shakuni rolled the dice and said, "Behold, I have won." the Pandavas, clad in deer skin, went into the forest in exile for 12 years, and the 13th year to be spent in a foreign land unrecognized. Duryodhana, Dushasana, their brothers Karna and Shakuni danced in joy. They rebuked and insulted the Pandavas who walked the streets like common men en route to the forest. Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva all vowed that they will avenge this humiliation. Yudhishthira led the way. Draupadi, tears running down her cheeks, silently followed them.
Aum Sai Ram, dear embodiments of love. One of the many significance of National Women's Day is to draw attention to the issues such as domestic violence, sexual harassment, and the control that men have over women, which is believed to all fall under the same category, many of which is still prevalent today. The great epic scene of the Mahabharata that was just narrated draws attention to what some women still face today. The story that we all just watched sets rise to two questions. How would I react to a situation of this magnitude if I was placed in it? If I was a spectator in this scene, would I just watch, or would I raise my voice and help the person in need? The lessons described in the story is something that we can all take back, one of which is to call out to Swami with complete surrender. Lord Krishna was many miles away, but heard Mother Draupadi's pleas and immediately came to her rescue while everyone else stood and watched. How we react is very important. Reacting in a state of fear gives rise to negative emotions and releases our control to that of the other person. Remembering Swami in times of trouble is very difficult. The story teaches us that if Mother Draupadi called out to the Lord from the moment she was summoned into the wager room, it would not have escalated to that extent. Even though women of today are given more freedom, many of us are still fighting or trying to take a stand against some sort of inequality. Trying to play a man's game, placing some sort of wager in a moment of impulse for acceptance or to fit in, will prevent us from being our true authentic self. Thus, this great epic teaches us valuable tools that we as women can use to lead a happy and peaceful life in our homes and in society. Jai Sai Ram.
तुझसे ही जीवन तुम बिन लगे ना, मन मोरा भवरा कन्हैया, मन मोरा भवरा। अश्रूप है नैनों से ओसाई, दर्शन दे अब तू, दर्शन दे अब तू। इस जीवन में मिल जो गए हो, बांधे रखो मोरे राम। तुम ही मोरे गिरिधर नागर, तुम ही मोरे घनश्याम, तुम ही मोरे घनश्याम। तुम ही हो जग के पालनहारे, इस युग के अवतार हो रामा, इस युग के अवतार। तुम ही हो जग के पालनहारे, इस युग के भगवान ओ बाबा, इस युग के भगवान। मुझसे मिली मैं मिल के तुम्ही से, ऐसा है तेरा प्यार, ऐसा है तेरा प्यार। देकर ही पाई हार के भी जीती, इतनी खुशी पाई मैंने, लगने लगे जब दुश्मन भी पाई, राह पे चलने लगी। तुझसे ही मिलती गई, तुम ही मोरे गिरिधर नागर, तुम ही मोरे घनश्याम, तुम ही मोरे घनश्याम, तुम ही मोरे घनश्याम, तुम ही मोरे घनश्याम।
I offer my humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Divine Mother, Bhagavan Sri Sai Baba, and Aum Sri Sai Ram, loving brothers, sisters, and children. A blessed and joyful Women's Day to all the wonderfully amazing women of the world. Swami says, and I quote,
Ladies are the pillars of strength of the home and nation. Unquote. So, what is it that makes us so wonderfully amazing, beautiful, and unique? Well, some females may say they just looked into the mirror and got their answer. Or others may say they train their husbands to repeat the mantra.
My wife is the best, so forget the rest. My wife is the best, so forget the rest.
But if that didn't work for you, then let's take a listen to what the divine says, and I quote: Women are the Lakshmis of the home. She is the mother, the first preceptor, the first teacher and guru. Woman is the goddess of nature. The womb of the mother symbolizes Mother Earth. Unquote. Now, these are timeless model answers from our Satguru himself. Let's delve a little into the personality of Mother Draupadi in the Mahabharata. This woman of valor, the wife of Arjuna and his brothers, worshipped Lord Krishna with total love and surrender. In one particular story in the Mahabharata, when baby Parikshit was found lifeless, it was Draupadi who never gave up hope, even when the Pandava brothers bowed their heads in sorrow. Draupadi spoke to Krishna to intervene. The Lord beckoned her to bring the baby to him. He revived the child, and everyone looked up at the baby, whilst Arjuna ran to the feet of Krishna, thanking him for saving his grandson's life. This display of emotional and mental strength of Draupadi during this time revealed to the Pandava brothers that prayer and faith of a single woman can not only melt the heart of the Lord, but it also detached her from the sorrow and pain that the Pandava brothers experienced. Draupadi and Lord Krishna shared a very special relationship. The only true friend who validated her persona came to her rescue each time she found herself in dire circumstances was Krishna, whose divine presence was experienced constantly in her life. Draupadi was extremely beautiful, intelligent, and a virtuous woman, and her body smelt like a fresh lotus bloom. We will now have a dedication of a poem to Mother Draupadi.
If Mother Draupadi could be compared to the majestic flower, beautiful, admirable, and overflowing with silent power, although the precious lotus blooms in a pond of warm, murky water, verily, verily, it is her beauty and character that is what's sought after. She is an enchanting splash of radiant color in a dark, muddy pond, creating a balanced yet orchestrated harmony in Mahabharata and beyond. The lotus grows from the element of water. Fire was the element of Drupadi's daughter. Breathtaking and captivating is this bloom's aromatic fragrance. She earned the respect of the women in her time, but it was more like reverence. The lotus is the nature's lesson of rising above our challenges and trials. Just as Draupadi faced her demons, persevered, and there was no denials. This pristine flower is a symbol of purity, enlightenment, and divinity. What an awesome representation of our graceful yet resilient femininity.
The practice of namasmarana and surrender was Mother Draupadi's calling card to Lord Krishna thousands of years ago. And since there is no expiry date on God's teachings, namasmarana and surrender still works in current times. Swami says that Mother Draupadi led a virtuous and noble life, yet she was a flaming female who could wreak havoc on those who did her wrong. That is definitely a characteristic that women of today can relate to. Like the saying goes, behind every angry woman stands a man who has absolutely no idea what he did wrong. So it's best he treads with caution. Swami says that the sacrifice and peace are ladies' dominant qualities, and it is us who leads the family to God. So it is the nature of men to be protectors and providers for their families and communities. Whilst women also provide for their families financially, we naturally take care of the household chores, cooking, and caring for our children, family, and community. During the recent unrest, ladies had to spread their wings as protectors, and our natural instinct to safeguard and preserve kicked in on overdrive. We also realized that the call and dire need for prayer, peace, truth, and forgiveness is the high road to safety and reconciliation. Swami said, his life is his message, and then he said, your life is my message. Through his teachings and example of simple living and higher thinking, we ladies must persevere in raising our vibration and that of our families so that our focus is to move away from the darkness and more into the light of positivity, the light of gratitude, the light of forgiveness, and the light of sharing and caring. We will now have another poem in tribute to all ladies of the world.
Aum Sri Sai Ram. Today I salute all you divine women of worth who have loved and served since your divine birth. God has blessed you with the gifts of many talents and skill. Allow them to grow and flourish as part of His divine will. Bhagavan says, and I quote, "Woman is the goodness of nature." This is written in the Mahabharata as part of legislation. Continue to be the pillar of peace, strength, and love, as these values will save the world like a protective glove. Your role is to live and resonate Sai's simple teachings. This is more practical and beneficial than endless preachings. Be cheerful and kind in your daily routines and duties, remembering that you are the Lord's precious lotus beauties. All glory and gratitude to our ever-loving Divine Master, for in this amazing journey of life, He has every model answer. Jai Sai Ram.
In conclusion, we would like to say thank you to our Sai Mother for taking care of us all through our journey of life. We thank you for this female birth and for all the challenges and opportunities that have come our way. We love you, Sai Ma. Jai Sai Ram.
song that was sparked the start of the real uprising against the apartheid system. In 1956, there was a march of 20,000 women on Pretoria protesting the caste system. And this song came out of that. This is called Watinta Bafazi, and it means when you strike a woman, you strike a rock. And so we're using the grinding stone motion. This is our rock, and this is for unity.
Watinta Bafazi, Watinta Bokodo, Uzo, Uzo Kufa. Watinta Bafazi, Watinta Bokodo, Uzo, Uzo Kufa. Watinta Bafazi, Watinta Bokodo, Uzo, Uzo Kufa. Watinta Bafazi, Watinta Bokodo, Uzo, 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 Uzo Kufa. Uzo Kufa. Watinta Bafazi, Watinta Bokodo, Uzo Kufa. Watinta Bafazi, Watinta Bokodo, Uzo Kufa. Watinta Bafazi, Watinta Bokodo, Uzo Kufa. Watinta Bafazi, Watinta
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా,
embodiments of love.
ప్రాచీన కాలం నుండి ఈ హృదయాన్ని పవిత్రంగా గావించుకుంటూ వచ్చారు పవిత్రమైనటువంటి యొక్క స్త్రీలు.
Women from time immemorial have tried to keep up this purity of the heart.
గత జీవుడకు పతిని బ్రతికించి ఎముగల్చే సావిత్రి భారత సాధ్విగాదే. చచ్చినటువంటి యొక్క భర్తను బ్రతికించినటువంటి స్త్రీలు ఉన్నారు, కానీ చచ్చినటువంటి భార్యను బ్రతికించినటువంటి పురుషుడు ఎక్కడా కనిపించడం లేదు. ఏ చరిత్రలో కూడా మనకు తెలియదు.
In the whole of history, there have been women who brought back like Savitri dead husbands to life, but there is not a single example of a man who has brought back to life a dead wife.
ఈనాడు ఆధునిక యుగంగా మారటం చేత అనేక రకమైనటువంటి యొక్క చర్యలు ఆధునికంగానే చేరిపోతున్నాయి.
Because of the changes of this modern world, all newfangled thoughts,
సద్భావములకు, సచ్చర్యలకు, సచ్చింతనలకు చక్కని అవకాశమే కనిపించడం లేదు.
There is no place whatsoever for good thoughts, for good actions, for any type of good deeds.
కనుక ఈనాడు స్త్రీలకు ఈ పవిత్రమైనటువంటి యొక్క భావనలు అభివృద్ధి పరచుకోవాలి. దీనికి సత్యసాయి సంస్థలని, సత్యసాయి మహిళా విభాగములని దీనికి ఏర్పరిచి ఈ సత్సంగ ప్రభావాన్ని జగమునకు చాటే నిమిత్తమై దీనికి ఏర్పరుస్తూ వచ్చాం.
For the purpose of increasing the recognition of these values, and then it is the woman who should uphold it, and so there are various organizations of Sri Sathya Sai like Mahila Vibhag and so many other type of things.
కనుకనే స్త్రీలు కూడినప్పుడే జగత్తంతా కూడాను ఒక పవిత్రమైనటువంటి దేశంగా రూపొందుతుంది.
It's only when the women get together that the whole nation becomes something exemplary.
ఈ స్త్రీల యొక్క సంఘము ఎంతనో గొప్ప విలువను సంపాదించింది.
So this society of women lends it a lot of dignity.
ఇటువంటి స్త్రీల యొక్క తత్వమును ఈనాటి పురుషులు కూడాను గుర్తించడానికి ప్రయత్నించడం లేదు.
So men should make an effort to understand this value in women.
దేశమును కూడాను హస్తగతము గావించుకునేటువంటి శక్తి కలిగినటువంటి స్త్రీలు ఈ స్త్రీలు.
These women are those who can really do such things in the world.
స్త్రీలు కేవలం సామాన్యమైనటువంటి యొక్క బానిసలుగా భావిస్తున్నారు అనేక మంది పురుషులు.
Men think that women are just subordinate to them.
కాదు కాదు.
It's not so.
వారు తలంచినప్పుడు జగత్తునే ఒక మూట మాదిరి కట్టగలరు.
When they just think they can just bundle up the world.
అటువంటి శక్తి సామర్థ్యములు కలిగినటువంటి స్త్రీలను మనం ఈనాడు చులకన చేయటం చేతనే మన గతి ఈ విధంగా మారిపోతున్నది.
It's because we are belittling such women who can do such tremendous tasks. The world has come to this state today.
స్త్రీలు సాధించలేనిటువంటిది లేదు లోకంలో.
There is nothing that a woman cannot achieve.
అలాంటి స్త్రీల యొక్క తత్వమును మనం దినము కూడాను గుర్తించి వారికి తగినటువంటి ఉత్సాహమును కూడాను కల్పించి వారికి తగినటువంటి సమాజం లోపల తోడ్పాటు గావించాలి.
Recognizing this quality in woman, we will have to give her support and try to encourage her and see that she becomes the pillar in society.
అలాంటి ఎంకరేజ్మెంట్ ఏ మాత్రము చేయటం లేదు స్త్రీలకు.
The women do not get encouragement at all.
ఏదైనా ఒక సత్సంగంలో ప్రవేశించినారా అంటే ఈ పురుషులకు దానిపైన కోపం కలుగుతుంటుంది.
If they go to satsang, the men become angry.
వారి స్వార్థము, వారి స్వప్రయోజనముకి మాత్రమే ప్రయత్నిస్తున్నారు, కానీ స్త్రీల వల్ల జగత్తునికి ఎంత ఉపకారం కలుగుతుంది, ఎంత పవిత్రమైనటువంటి మార్గం ఏర్పడుతుంది అనేటువంటి సత్యాన్ని వారు గుర్తించుకోలేకపోతున్నారు.
They are only thinking of their own selfishness or the self-comfort. They are not able to realize that through women alone that society can progress into
చాలా వరకు స్త్రీల యందు స్వార్థరహితమైనటువంటి హృదయం ఉంటుంటుంది.
Women have got a heart which is devoid of selfishness.
దయా ప్రేమల చేత వాళ్ళ హృదయం నిండి ఉంటుంది.
Their heart is full of compassion and kindness.
పిల్లలను పోషించేటువంటి విషయం లోపల ఎంతనో జాగరూకతగా ఉంటుంటారు.
In bringing up their children, they are so careful.
ఒక్క క్షణమైన కూడా భర్త సహించుకోలేడు.
Even one moment the husband cannot
కానీ ఆ
tolerate
పిల్లలను పోషించేటువంటి విధానంలో రాత్రింపగలు కూడాను స్త్రీలు ఎంతనో పాటుపడుతుంటారు.
Night and day the woman will strive to look after her child.
ఆ పిల్లల యొక్క ప్రవర్తన కోసం ఎన్నో విధమైనటువంటి యొక్క తోడ్పాటు కూడా చేస్తుంటారు.
And she will always support the child in many of its actions and thoughts.
ఈనాటి చదువుల వల్ల, ఈనాటి విద్యా విధానముల వల్ల ఆ పిల్లల యొక్క పరిస్థితులు క్రమక్రమేణా మాలిన్యమైపోతున్నది.
Today, because of this modern education, the children are getting little degraded.
పూర్వమంతా పిల్లలకి ఏదైనా అక్షర శ్రీకారం చేయాలనుకుంటుంటే
in the early days when a child had to be initiated in letters,
నుంచి ఓం నమః శివాయ, ఓం నమో నారాయణాయ అని చెప్పేటువంటి వారు.
And the women would teach the child, say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayana.
ఆ యొక్క ప్రేరణ చేతనే ఆ పిల్లల యొక్క హృదయాలు క్రమక్రమేణా హృదయంలో చిత్రించుకొని పోతూ వచ్చాయి.
And with this type of training that the children's hearts would expand.
ఈనాటి ఆధునిక యుగం యొక్క చదువులు ఏ రీతిగా ఉన్నాయి?
What is the type of modern education?
వాళ్ళకి అక్షర శ్రీకారం చేయాలనుకుంటే,
if they want to be initiated,
చిన్న చిన్న బుక్కులు చదివించాలంటే,
if they have to read small books,
తల్లిదండ్రులు కూడా ఎలాంటి పుస్తకాలు తెప్పిస్తున్నారు?
how do the parents, what type of books do they read?
బ్లాక్ షీప్ అంటారు. ఇవి వాళ్ళకి నేర్పించేటువంటిది.
So this is what they teach them. Baba, black sheep.
కనుకనే మనం చెడ్డ పదాలంతా కూడా ఈనాడు పిల్లలకంతా నేర్పిస్తున్నాము.
So we are teaching children all bad things.
ఎవరైనా ఇంటికి వచ్చేస్తే వారికి నమస్కారం చేసే పిల్లలను చాలా స్వాగతం చేసేటువంటి వారు.
Earlier children, when any elders came to the house, they would do namaskar.
ఈనాడు అట్టి వినయ విధేయతలే పూర్తి కోల్పోయినారు.
There is no humility these days in children.
ప్రాచీన కాలంలో ఇలాంటి పవిత్రమైనటువంటి చదువులు పిల్లలకు చెప్పించేటువంటి వారు.
In the olden days children were taught such type of education.
కానీ ఈనాడు మా పిల్లలు పెద్ద చదువు చదవాలని, గొప్పవారు కావాలని ఆశిస్తున్నారు.
Today parents think that their children should study very high and they should become very important.
తల్లిదండ్రులంతా కూడా మా బిడ్డలు గొప్పవారు కావాలని ఏనాడు కూడా వారు ఆశించలేదు.
In olden times the parents never thought that the children should become some great person.
మా పిల్లలు మంచివారు కావాలని ఆశించారు.
They desired that the children should become good people.
ఆ మంచివారు కావాలని ఆశించిన చేతనే భారతదేశము ఇంత దేశములకంత ఆదర్శవంతమైనటువంటి జీవితంగా అందిస్తూ ఉంటారు.
Because they all desired that the children should be good people, that the land of Bharat has become an example to the whole world.
కాలేజీకి పోయేటువంటి పిల్లలకంతా కూడాను తల్లిదండ్రులు చక్కని బోధన చేపలు కదా.
Today the parents have got to give them good advice.
కానీ ఈనాడు పిల్లలకు చెప్పడం లేదు.
But today children don't.
ఇంటికి వచ్చిన తక్షణమే
as soon as they come home,
అమ్మ టీవీ స్విచ్ వేస్తుంది.
Mother switches on the TV.
నాన్న వచ్చి కూర్చుంటాడు.
Father comes and sits down.
నాన్న కొడుకులు కూడా టీవీ చూసుకుంటూ ఆనందాన్ని అనుభవిస్తుంటారు.
And then the father and son see the TV and feel very happy.
నేర్పించేది.
Is this what one teaches the children? Not at all.
ఆనాటి తల్లిదండ్రులు ఇంటికి వచ్చిన తక్షణమే పూజ రూమ్ దగ్గర పిలుచుకొని పోయేటువంటి వారు.
In those days the parents, as soon as the children came from school,
టీచర్స్ చెప్పినటువంటి విషయాలంతా కూడా వారికి చక్కగా అర్థమయ్యేటట్టుగా బోధించేటువంటి వారు.
They would take them to the prayer room and then tell them what the teachers had told them again and again so that they could understand.
ఈనాటి కాలేజీ పిల్లలకంతా కూడా తల్లిదండ్రులు ఒరే నువ్వు గొప్ప చదువుని కావాలరా.
Today parents say to the
డబుల్ డిగ్రీస్ పొందాలి.
You have got to become a great person.
చేయాలి.
Double degrees, post graduation.
లక్షాధివంతులైనటువంటి మామగారు నీకు చిక్కుతారు అంటారు.
It's only then that the whole world will respect you and regard you.
అప్పుడు ఫాదర్ ఇన్ లా
and the father-in-law.
కానీ అలాంటి వానాడు కోరేటువంటి వారు కాదు.
But those days the mothers and fathers didn't desire this.
మామగారు చిక్కాలని ఆశించేటువంటి వారు కాదు.
They never thought they should get a great status and power.
గొప్ప గుణవంతురాలైన భార్య చిక్కాలని కోరేటువంటి వారు.
They thought that you should become a really good person.
కనుక ఆనాటి కాలం నుండి వచ్చినటువంటి పరిస్థితులు ఎంతయో మృదుమధురమైనటివిగా ఉండేది.
In those days all these type of habits were so very enjoyable and pleasant.
ఈనాడు ప్రపంచంలో ఈ రకమైనటువంటి అవస్థలను మనం వింటున్నామంటే దీనికి మూల కారణం ఏమిటి?
If today's world we are listening to so many adverse things, what is the reason?
గుణవంతులైన తల్లిదండ్రులు ఇంట్లో లేరు.
Because the parents themselves are not
ఆ ఇంట్లో గుణవంతులైన తల్లిదండ్రులు లేకపోవడం చేతనే గుణవంతులైనటువంటి బిడ్డలు అభివృద్ధి కావటం లేదు.
If the parents are not good by themselves, the children really cannot become good.
కనుక మొట్టమొదట గృహమే ప్రధానం, మొట్టమొదటి స్కూలు.
So the first thing is the home of the school.
ఇలాంటి ప్రబోధనలు చేసే నిమిత్తమైపోయి ఈ 19వ తేదీ నవంబర్ 19వ తేదీ ఈ దినము పవిత్రమైన దినంగా రూపొందింపచేశాము.
So to give you this message, November 19th has become a very holy day.
19th అనేది ఏదో ఒక తమాష కోసం నిర్ణయించింది కాదు.
November 19 is not there for mere.
తల్లుల యొక్క ప్రేమతత్వాన్ని జగత్తుకు చాటాలి.
To disseminate the mother's love to the whole world.
పిల్లలను పవిత్రవంతులుగా రూపొందింపచేయాలి.
And the children should become pure.
ఆదర్శవంతమైన పుత్రులుగా రూపొందించాలి.
They must become exemplary children.
అందు నిమిత్తమై 19వ తేదీ పవిత్రమైన దినంగా రూపొందింపచేశాము.
For this reason this 19th is become a hallowed day.
కనుక ఈ 19th అనేటువంటిది ఇంకా జన్మమంతా ఎన్ని జన్మలు వచ్చినా కానీ ఈ 19th ఏనిటికి మారదు ఇంకా.
So time may pass, eons may pass, but 19th will remain forever.
సంవత్సరాలైనప్పటికీ నవంబర్ 19th ఏనాటికి మారదు.
Many years may go by, but the November 19th
స్వామి యొక్క దృఢమైనటువంటి సంకల్పంతో చేసినటువంటిది
will never change because it is the outcome of Swami.
చాలా మంది ఇంకా నెల కూడా 19వ తేదీకి అంతా కూడా పండుగలు చేసుకుంటున్నారు.
And on 19th, November 19th, many people do celebrate it.
కనుకనే ఈ 19వ తేదీకి భగవంతుని ప్రేమను పొందే నిమిత్తమై ఆచరించేసినవి మీరు భావించాలి.
So you must think that November 19th has been earmarked for all of us to obtain the love of God.
ప్రేమముదిత మనసిక రామ 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 శ్రీ రామ రామ పాప కటే దుఃఖ మిటే లేత రామనా భవ సముద్ర సుఖద నావ ఏక రామ పరమ శాంతి సుఖ నిదాన దివ్య రామ निराधार को आधार एक राम माता पिता बंधु सखा सबकी कामना भक्त जनर जीवन घन एक राम भक्त जनर जीवन घन एक राम 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 श्री राम राम
On the 9th of October 2012, the Taliban shot me on the left side of my forehead. They thought that the bullet would silence us, but they failed.
I did everything in my power to be a good student. I dreamed of one day going to one of the best universities in America. But despite my efforts, there were still people in my life who told me that I was setting my sights too high, that a girl like me couldn't get into an elite university.
My identity is challenged, and my actions are heavily scrutinized. I am simultaneously silenced into shame while being expected to apologize for the actions of a small group of people. We all have a responsibility to challenge a growing culture of ignorance rather than justifying xenophobia and prejudice under the veil of free speech.
It is okay to be scared. It is okay to cry. Everything is okay, but giving up should not be an option. They always say that failure is not an option. Failure should be an option because when you fail, you get up, and then you fail, and then you get up, and that keeps you going.
You know what it's like when a family struggles to make ends meet. You know what it's like to be overlooked and underestimated because of who you are or what you believe in or where you come from. And the world needs more girls like you. And the world needs more girls like you growing up to lead our parliaments and our boardrooms and our courtrooms and our universities. We need you. We need people like you tackling the pressing problems we face: climate change and poverty, violent extremism, disease.
We have this thing in minds. We call it perfection. We want everything perfect. We want ourselves to be perfect. There is this image in our head about everything: perfect life, perfect relationships, perfect career, perfect amount of money that we need to earn no matter what. Nothing is perfect in this world. We all are perfectly imperfect, and that is perfectly all right.
You might never fail on the scale I did, but some failure in life is inevitable. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default.
And hopelessness died. Strength, power, and courage was born.
Buddha कहो, गुरु नानक कहो, ज़ोराष्ट्र ईश्वर अल्लाह साई कहो। राम कहो, कृष्ण कहो, ईश्वर अल्लाह साई कहो। बुद्ध कहो, गुरु नानक कहो, जोराष्ट्र महावीर येशु कहो। बुद्ध कहो, गुरु नानक कहो, जोराष्ट्र महावीर येशु कहो। राम कहो, कृष्ण कहो, ईश्वर अल्लाह साई कहो। राम कहो, कृष्ण कहो, ईश्वर अल्लाह साई कहो। युग अवतार तुम हो, विश्व शक्ति तुम हो। युग अवतार तुम हो, विश्व शक्ति तुम हो। सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई महेशा, सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई महेशा। परब्रह्म तुम हो, परब्रह्म तुम हो। साई परब्रह्म तुम हो, साई परब्रह्म तुम हो। राम कहो, कृष्ण कहो, ईश्वर अल्लाह साई कहो।
ओम जय जगदीश हरे, स्वामी सत्य साई हरे। भक्त जना संरक्षक, भक्त जना संरक्षक, पति महेश्वरा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। शशिवदना श्रीकरा, सर्वा प्राणपते, स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते। आश्रित कल्पलतिका, आश्रित कल्पलतिका, आपदान्धवा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरि अन्तयु नीवे, स्वामी मरि अन्तयु नीवे। नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा, नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा, नागेन्द्रशयना। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी हो साई महादेवा, सत्य साई महादेवा। मंगल आरती अंधुको, मंगल आरती अंधुको, मंगल गिरिधारी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण 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 ओम। नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा। नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण 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 ओम। नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा। नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण 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 ओम। नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा। शांति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। 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 ॐ ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्।